Linip looked over the specs for the new job. The more he looked at them, the less they made sense to him. Certain systems were not only redundant, but triply so. Machine tolerances were specified to microns. Parts were overbuilt. The madman who had designed this thing was clearly working from some sort of outdated set of codes that failed to take into account the progress of modern material sciences and computer-aided manufacturing. Linip sent a compad message to his boss, asking why the specs for this device were so wonky. He sent a list of revisions that he thought would save money and still leave the parts serviceable. His boss, an accomplished machinist in his own right, sent back a single line in response. "It's for the humans." Linip just shook his head and started to make the part to the original specs on the design he received. Several deco rotations later, the client's representative came into the shop to check on progress. Linip showed the customer the parts they had finished and the parts they were still working on. The human looked at every machine tool, every indicator and DRO, checked dimensions at several points on multiple parts. After examining a half-dozen parts and machine tools, Linip asked the human why they were designing the part in such an odd way. The human looked confused. "What do you mean, odd? Look at the chamber wall thickness here. It's twice as thick as it needs to be, and the mating surface has recesses for not 1 or 2, but 3 O-ring gaskets. The filleting here could be milled off to save weight, but it's spec'd to stay on the part. This thing is twice as heavy and thick as it needs to be." Linip pointed out several strange design features as he rotated a finished part in his manipulators. "Ah, I see now." After a pause to think, he looked up to Linip. "How long has your species been flying interstellar?" the human asked. "I don't know, maybe 1,000 orbits? 1,500, something like that," Linip said. "Did your spaceflight pioneers suffer any casualties?" the human asked. "I'm not sure. I suppose we must have," Linip said. "In the first 100 years of human spaceflight, we lost 27 people. Some of the bravest and brightest humans to have ever been born. 27. In the first 100 years of superliminal travel, we lost nearly 150. We looked it up when we were invited to the Coalition. Nearly every other species has doubled to quintuple the number of deaths." The human took the part that Linip was holding and pointed to the triple grooves or gasket rings. "A failed O-ring cost 7 people their lives." He pointed to the filleting on the side of the part. "A break in a stress riser cost 3 people their lives." He pointed to a mounting boss on the underside of the part. "An unsupported fuel line broke and caused 2 men to die in a fire. The people of Earth are, despite the perception of us by the wider galaxy, exceptionally risk-adverse. We partake in extreme activities, but we have multiple safety checks, procedures, and equipment to keep us safe. Our extremophile nature is one born of the place we come from, but surviving a death world means knowing how to mitigate the chances of death, whether that means taming predators to be companion animals, or designing buildings for living in tectonically active areas, or eating mildly toxic foods for flavor because pests won't consume them. When we find something that causes harm, we find a workaround, a fix, a new design. The reason our parts are designed the way they are is because the specs are written in blood." Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Everything I used is in the description below. If there's a story you'd like to hear narrated, let me know and I'll reach out to the author and see if we can make that happen. Thanks again. It's a scary world out there, but remember to be brave and look up, to seek the stars.